I filmed this intro 3 times because my mic hasn't been on. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today's video is one that I'm so excited about because we're going to be talking all about matte skin. Over the years, I've really accumulated some really good tips that really help prolong the matteness of your skin throughout the day. They are just super quick and simple changes that you can make that will help prolong your makeup all day. It'll make it break up less. It will make it just honestly just stay matte all day, whether you're going to an event or whether you're just tired of your skin getting so oily so quickly. That's what this video is for, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So if you want to see the hacks and tips that I have for keeping your skin matte all day, then just go ahead and keep watching. Okay, so the first thing that I like to do before even putting some moisturizer on my face is I like to take a little toilet paper square and I like to dab off the oil that I get on my face during the night. So I get really oily on my chin during the night and just in my normal oily area. So I'll just pat down my cheek area, on the sides of my nose, and then anywhere else that I would get oily. This really helps just in making the canvas super smooth before you start putting anything on. I feel like this is a big step that a lot of people forget, just because when you're putting moisturizer and primer on and stuff like that, you're literally just taking that oil and smearing it around. So before you even put anything on, it's really good to kind of just smooth out everything, make sure everything's dry, not oily, anything like that. So now that we've done that, we can go into a moisturizer, which a lot of people think that because you have oily skin that you don't need to put on moisturizer, but you need to. I noticed such a big change in my skin when I started using a moisturizer. I used to not use it because I thought that it made me oily, and it's almost like when you use a moisturizer, it helps balance out the oils because you're oily because you are actually so dry that they produce just extra oil. So when you put moisture in, it becomes less oily in the long run, if that makes sense. So you always have to put on some moisturizer, put it everywhere. Don't just put it on the outsides of your face because you're oily on the inner parts. You gotta put it everywhere, just do a light layer. That's why I really like this daily hydration moisturizer, just because it is such a lightweight formula that you put it on and it dries almost instantly. It just really sinks into the skin but doesn't leave a heavy residue of oil or anything like that. And then sometimes what I'll do, even after I have my moisturizer on, is I will take that same toilet paper on another side and just go ahead again and dab those areas that I get oily. The moisturizer is already sunken into my skin, but just to further make sure that all the oils are good and away, just go ahead and dab those areas. You're not taking any moisturizer off, but you're taking off the excess that's on top. That's another tip that I really like to use. So the next step is primer, and I feel like this will come to absolutely no surprise to any of you. You obviously need a primer that is going to help prolong your makeup throughout the day, that's going to keep you matte, that is going to help with just prolonging that makeup. And obviously my One Heck of a Blot primer is my go-to primer. It is one of the best, I think the best primer I've ever tried for controlling oil, and it's just so great. I love it, and I think it is a super good primer for controlling oils. So this primer I actually just like to apply in my T-zone. Honestly, I take a good amount, at least this much, at least. I might go in with some more. So what I'll do is I'll rub it in between my fingers, and I'll start where I get oiliest, which is always this cheek area, and then I'll go everywhere else. So I'll do my cheeks, and then I'll do my chin and my upper lip, and then I'll go to my forehead and my nose. Okay, so this next step is one that I feel is a very big hidden gem in the makeup world, and it is gonna seem so wrong when I tell it to you, but I promise you it does help with the longevity of your makeup throughout the day and oils not coming through as much. So what you're gonna need for this step is you're gonna need a translucent powder and a big fluffy brush. So I'm gonna take a big brush like this, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to dip it into my powder, and then I'm gonna just tap off the excess right here. And what I like to do, this step I honestly only do when I really need my makeup to look super flawless and matte all day. And I don't do this on a regular basis just because I'm okay with a little bit of oil coming throughout the day. But this tip is if you want to stay matte all day. I would highly recommend this if you need it for like an event or something like that. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you are going to lightly, just a small amount of powder, just like a little layer. You're going to dust this across your face in your oily areas. So I'm not even going to add any more powder. I'm just going to take everything that I used, everything that I got in that first initial dip and put it all over my face. So this seems so wrong and seems like it won't make your foundation blend out, but it is fine. It works great. I did not believe it when I heard it and I was like, let me try it. I tried it and it's honestly a game changer. So I wouldn't do this every day personally. I mean, if you want to, you totally can. It's an extra step, but this is a super good tip if you really want to prolong your makeup. Next is foundation, and you need a foundation that is going to help control your oil throughout the day. My favorite everyday foundation that is more of a lighter coverage that still helps with oils is the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation. So I really recommend if you're someone that has oily skin and maybe has some acne prone skin like I do, like I have a lot of acne and acne scars on my cheeks, I would go in with a light layer of foundation and then where you need to spot conceal, because a even lighter layer is going to help you stay less oily throughout the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply this like I normally would a foundation on my little sponge. So as you can see, it gives you a light layer, but it gives you a good amount of coverage. I'd say it's probably medium coverage right now. So now, if you need more coverage in certain areas, just go in with a concealer, and I really recommend the Tarte Shape Tape just because it is a little bit more of a matter concealer and it has great coverage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to apply this on my blemish areas, just like that. It's a lot, honestly, but I have a lot of redness to cover up right here. So So the next step is concealer, like underneath my eyes, and I'm just going to use the Tarte Shape Tape as well, and I'm just going to set my under eyes. I usually bake my under eyes, but my under eyes are a little more dry, so I've just been setting them with a couple layers of powder, not leaving them or anything like that. But with that being said, baking is going to be such a big tool with you guys that have oily skin. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my concealer, set it real quickly, and then I'll come back and kind of show you how I bake my face to make it last all day. Okay, so I'm back and I look super weird. I have bake on my smile lines, just not because I'm oily there or anything, just to prevent creasing in my smile lines, but I will say the next step for me is baking in certain areas that get a little more oily. So for me, I'll take a little bit of excess powder and I'll let that bake a little bit on my chin and also on my upper lip. I actually already did it. I wasn't even thinking about it while I was doing my smile lines. It's just kind of a habit to go right there afterwards. So next, what I like to do, there's something about a wet sponge and powder that really helps lock in your makeup. So what I like to do next is I'll dip into the powder. I will dab it on the back of my hand, and I press it in to my areas that I want to minimize my pores and to really help set for the day. I will do it on the sides of my cheeks. I will do it on my nose, and then I'll also do it in the middle of my forehead, actually pretty much everywhere on my forehead. And I will just set that just to ensure that it stays matte all day, that it's sealed in with the powder. It's being pressed into the skin. So we've got our chin baking with a little bit of extra powder. Same thing with our upper lip. We've got our cheeks set just down with some powder. Same with nose and with our forehead. Also, if you guys are oily in different areas, you guys can just use these techniques wherever you personally get more oily. This is just where I get oily, and most people do get oily, so I wanted to kind of show you what I did to prevent the oiliness. So now that I've got this middle portion of my face set, I'm just going to set the rest of my face with a Fit Me powder. It's like a it's like a kind of, it has a little bit of coverage, but I just set my cheeks with this just because it gives me a little extra coverage. But my cheeks aren't oily, so I don't really need to, there's no like secrets with how I set my cheeks. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this sit for just a few minutes and then we'll be back. Okay, so while I was letting that bake sit, I just went ahead and did my brows really quickly. So now that we've let this sit for a little bit, I'm just going to take that big fluffy brush and I'm just going to wipe it all off. So you can use any bronzer. I'm going to go ahead and apply mine really quickly, but then I will be back for blush. Okay, so if you're anything like me, I know I love a glowy blush. You know, I use them pretty much every single time that I do a video. But when it comes to wanting to wear my makeup for a long time, making sure that it looks super smooth and non-oily all day, I will use a matte blush. I'm just gonna use, I honestly don't even know the name of or the brand of this little blush. It's just, I think it's a sample that I got from my Ipsy, but I've been using it for the past few days. And it's just like this beautiful, like, peachy blush, but just use something that's matte. So I'm just gonna apply this to my cheeks. I've been loving this blush brush because it's so like flimsy and it like applies barely any product, so it's really foolproof. Okay, so the blush is applied. Now we're gonna move on to eyes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put down a base. For my lids, I'm just gonna use my Urban Decay one. But if you were anything like me, I feel like this is common for most oily people, is if they have oily skin, they have oily eyelids, and I have oily eyelids. So my trick for keeping my oils at bay all day on my eyelids is I will do the same thing that I do on my face. I will kind of bake, but also just pack a little bit of excess powder on my eyelids. So I'll just kind of place it on there for a couple minutes and just let it sit, just so that it really absorbs any oil that's on there and kind of preps it for the rest of the day. So I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit, apply just a little bit of eyeshadow. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that really quickly, and then we'll move back to the face. So the last couple steps are setting spray and a highlighter. So a lot of people set their makeup at the very end, but I like to set mine before the highlighter just because I think it makes it look a lot more vibrant, which on a day-to-day basis I like a vibrant highlight. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use a setting spray. I could give you guys a recommendation on one that really keeps your face looking matte all day, but I honestly haven't found one that really truly helps prolong my makeup and helps me not get oily. But the best one that I found is the Wet n Wild Matte Finish Setting Spray. It's like $4 and it sets my makeup, and I think if anything it just helps set everything down and not get oily, but like, I don't know. I just mean like, don't use a dewy setting spray when it comes to trying to set your face for the rest of the day, because it will just, those oils will just come through with that. So honestly, use whatever kind of setting spray you have as long as it's not a dewy one, but I recommend this one. It's only $4 and it's a good one that I've been using for a long time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and set my face. Okay, so now that that setting spray is locked in, it's dried down and everything like that, we're gonna go into a highlighter. So for highlighter today, I'm gonna go into this Smashbox Spotlight Palette in Pearl. So this is what it looks like, and I'm just gonna be taking this white shade, it's like the lightest shade. And if you are someone that is oily, try and keep your highlighter just at the top of your cheekbones. I know for me, like, I have a tendency to drag it down to my cheeks just to make them a little more glowy and everything like that, but it really does, when you do that, the oils peek through a lot more than they normally would. So I would just try and keep it right up here at the top of the cheekbone. I'm going to apply it now so you guys can see what I mean. So kind of just in this area. That's where I would keep it, just to keep from any oils coming through where they don't need to, if that makes sense. So if you are wearing highlighter, I would just keep it right here on your cheeks. Okay guys, so that is it for this Oily Hacks tips that you guys can use to really prolong your makeup and make it look matte all day. I really hope that these tips help you guys out. I know they were a game changer for me. So these steps take just a little bit longer, but they really will help and prolong your makeup and make it super smooth and matte all day. So if you guys like this video, please make sure to give it a like before you leave. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and make sure to leave a comment down below letting me know if you have oily or dry skin and any tips that you guys have if I did not mention them in this video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!